it just seems like some of the linkage down there just failed. They're going to have to look into immediately is the maintenance records.
Right.
Because landing gears on aircraft have cycles, meaning how many times they've been retracted and extended. There's a number on that, and then they require a real service, and I mean serious money.
Right. All right, welcome back to another Rodney Hood Talks. This is Rodney, and again we have our resident aviation expert, Danny Konjevich. Sorry to talk to you again under these conditions, but happy birthday, by the way. Anyways, I was going to call you, so.
Thank you very much.
Not a problem, man. So I was telling you, I was at the Waste Management Open right across the street from Scottsdale Airport on Sunday, and we actually were looking for parking spots and drove right around that very airport. Like I could see, the runway. But we know it was landing gear. You're going to tell us more about that. Landing speeds, around 120 miles per hour, 100 knots, somewhere around there?
Ballpark, yeah.
Okay, and then but one of the things I know people want to know, by the time they hit the plane, because they did skid through some rocks and all that, what do you think they were going? And it looks like the front left part of the cockpit was crushed in. I don't know how much you know about that, but if you could explain, why, unfortunately, the fatality may have happened. But just go ahead and take it from the very beginning and tell us what you think.
You got it. I'm actually watching the video right now. There's a surveillance video at Scottsdale Airport. And you see a jet traveling in the opposite direction on the taxiway. And the first camera, pretty much you have a very small view of how it lands, which looks like a normal landing. And then the audio, you can actually hear the gear collapse.
Oh, wow.
Now, if it collapsed evenly, yeah, you're probably going to shoot straight down the runway. But once you're on the ground, you got to steer with your feet. The yoke does absolutely nothing.
Right.
So the brakes are on the main tires underneath the wings, and the nose gears, just for steering. Depending on how they collapse, the rubber on the tires determine which direction you're going to go, and you're completely helpless. So if the left side crashed earlier than the right side, or vice versa, you're going to veer in one direction or the other.
Makes
and
sense.
They essentially crashed into a parked jet.
That's what's crazy is I'm sure to the regular person's eye watching this video, it looks like they're going 50 miles per hour, but they were probably going like 90 or 100, right?
Well, on touchdown, I think I remember the citation I would fly. It was like right around 105 knots, depending on the temperature. The landing speed varies on the temperature and altitude.
This was a Lear 35, right? So the one in Philly was a 55. So these are two Learjet, same company, correct?
This one's smaller.
Oh, even smaller. Okay. Yeah, I figured that.
This one's smaller. The bigger the number, the bigger the plane, essentially.
And, of course, as we know, the two Vinces were involved. This is Vince Neil of Mötley Crüe's plane. He wasn't in it. His wife was. I guess she had 5 broken ribs. Unfortunately, there's a fatality and another injured pilot, and I think 3 other people were on it. But either way, it hit Vince Vaughn's plane, apparently. I don't know how true that is, but I'm sure there's a lot of celebrities that, come in and out of that airport being Scottsdale.
Yeah, unfortunately, the way that it crashed into the aircraft,
right,
it looked like the guy that was sitting in the left seat, the pilot in the left seat, he was the one that died. He took the brunt of the blow.
Yeah, because if it
the
hit...
The co-pilot on the right, he got hurt pretty bad, I would imagine, but it seems like he survived. So the people, whoever's in the back, I mean, they're going to have injuries, but they were going to be all right. I think they probably hit, after all of that scraping and bouncing off those rocks and off the taxiway and then into the airplane, I would imagine they were doing about 70, 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's, if anybody's been in a car wreck, if you come to almost a abrupt stop like that, that's going to do maximum damage. And tell people what a cockpit is like versus a car, seat. It's much different getting in an accident.
The nose of a Learjet doesn't have impact bumpers, and we don't have airbags up there.
Right. It's just all metal.
Soft metal, aluminum.
Yeah, true.
The lighter the better. That's aviation.
Yeah, 100%. So we don't know whether or not it was on landing or impact, whatever you want to call it, that the landing gear gave out.
Most of these airplanes that have retractable landing gear, they have locking mechanisms so they don't like fall back into the airplane.
Sure.
And they also have these things called squat switches. So if there's weight on the wheels, there's little switches on the landing gear to make sure that even if you flip the switch inside, it won't let you retract the landing gear if you're on the ground if you accidentally flip it. It just seems like some of the linkage down there just failed. They're going to have to look into immediately is the maintenance records.
Right.
Because landing gears on aircraft have cycles, meaning how many times they've been retracted and extended. There's a number on that, and then they require a real service, and I mean serious money.
Right.
Certain things have to be replaced. Those things sometimes take a beating depending on how good the pilot is at, landing them.
Sure, that makes sense. So it sounds like, and I know a lot of these wealthy people and celebrities, I'm sure their accountant tells them, hey, instead of, buying a jet, you just you buy them and lease them to people, right? You can pretty much just use it to fly for free. Isn't that what a lot of these celebrity type
well,
do?
if you're Vince Neil, it is the perfect way to write off an expense. I mean,
Right.
the man's an entertainer.
Right.
So if he's not using it and it's sitting on the ground, he can lease it out to other people, and that's gonna generate money to pay for the maintenance that's unavoidable.
Of course.
So even if it sits on the ground, it's still got to go through its annual inspections and phase inspections and so on. So that stuff costs money. So if you think you can buy an airplane and just let it sit,
Right. No.
you got to know this one's coming.
No, it's it's like a boat times a million.
It's just like a Porsche,
Right.
You don't want to let a Porsche sit. You got to drive it.
Right.
You let it sit for 6 years. You got to soak the internals with oil and make sure that it doesn't start rotting from the inside.
That is right. So we've had 3. This will be the 3rd video. Out of the 3, obviously this one's, fatal, but the least in fatalities, and the least dramatic looking. Thank God it didn't go up in flames because jet fuel would have been over. They all would have just burned to death right there.
You can call it an air accident. To me, it's more like a ground incident, The flight was over as soon as the wheels touched down.
Right.
And they should have landed safely, but unfortunately that gear gave up on them, and man, that ended up being a mess. It's a damn shame they couldn't have just skipped down the runway,
Right.
Down to a grounding halt. That they just veered in the wrong direction. Again, this out of all of them was the worst luck of all.
Yeah.
Because those pilots were helpless.
Right. Yeah, you would be.
Once that gear fails, you're just going to ride it out, see what happens, see if you make it.
Oh, God, what a scary, looks like 4 or 5 seconds that must have been, just seeing that.
This is why they pay us good money.
Right.
Every flight is a risk.
Absolutely.
It makes me laugh when people are complaining about spending $80 on a one-way ticket.
Ugh. It's crazy. Yeah, those airlines. Oh my goodness, it's like flying Greyhound. Every time I go on those, it's like
you want to pay for a bus ride, but you want to climb onto an airplane. It amazes me how many people want to have it both ways.
I hear you. Well, listen, man, I'm going to give you a call back here in a bit. I appreciate you coming on again. Absolutely nothing to do with the other 2, just another random aviation accident, an unfortunate incident where one person lost their life. I appreciate you taking the call, my friend, and happy birthday again. And I will talk to you soon, my brother.
Thanks for reaching out.
You got it.
Take care, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye. All right, once again, that's Danny Kanyevich. Another incident in aviation, but again, none of these are related at all. And I was looking at ChatGPT. So between January of 24 and February 10th of this month, the U.S. experienced approximately 1,200 aviation accidents. There was 1,200 accidents, 179 of these being fatal, resulting in a total of 318 fatalities. These figures encompass both commercial and general aviation, so even, privateers. But in January 2025, this year alone, there was already 47 plane incidents in the U.S., including 5 fatal ones. But again, on pace to probably be almost exactly where we were last year. So nothing to worry about, guys. Hey, listen, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Rodney at Rodney Hood Talks. And remember, God loves you, So do I. Peace.